Well, the talk about 2012 budget has been on back and forth, going up and down just like a yo-yo. People are a little bit confused because now we have different figures, even from the National Assembly. The House of Reps, the Senate, all with different figures, and the executive arm with a different figure. But perhaps this report sets the pace for our next discussion.
Everyone expected a stormy session at the meeting between lawmakers and the Minister of Finance, who is at the center of the budget's implementation controversy. She had on 4 occasions failed to appear before the Senate to clarify the issues. Her absence infuriated lawmakers who had threatened her with sanctions. But the fury subsided when she finally appeared before the Senate committee and explained the reasons for her absence.
I must say that I was not, there was miscommunication about which day it would be. And therefore, there was no way that I would have been told and not appeared.
The minister then addressed the business of the day, budget implementation. She confirmed that while the recurrent budget had been fully implemented, 41.3% of the capital budget had been implemented so far. She, however, said ministries and other government agencies have not utilized 44% of the funds.
Out of a total capital budget, we're talking capital now, appropriated of 1.3 trillion, we have been implementing for 4 months because we started in April. Now we have released so far 404 billion naira. We have cash backed 324 billion, meaning that out of the releases, we've actually made cash available for 324 billion that ministries, departments, and agencies have been able to use. So out of the amount we have cash backed, 324 billion, meaning that cash that's immediately available. And the 404 billion release, as we cash back, people will use it. They've used 56% of the amount cash backed. That is what we talked about. That's what we had in this press release. So there has been nothing really left open to interpretation. We have always talked about the amount of resources utilized.
Ahead of the meeting, the senators had been displeased at remarks purported to have been made by the minister, blaming the tardy fund releases on constituency projects ordered into the Appropriation Act by the legislators. The question of constituency projects has attracted criticism to federal lawmakers in the past and has been constantly cited as reasons why budgets failed.
The projects we usually capture in the threshold given to us are small projects that can be felt in the most rural of communities, boreholes, health centers, for which skills acquisition centers, for which you already have the prototypes. The prototypes are prepared by the executive.
I want to reiterate that constituency projects, we have no problem. They will be implemented. They are being designed, procured as we speak. But on the second issue of whether there has been any movement, yes, there have been some movements within the budget.
The minister assured that the budget will be well implemented before the year ends and that the Ministry of Finance would not request for the usual extension. She also promised that the 2013 budget will be submitted to the National Assembly by September this year. Linda Kibe, Channels Television News.
Well, joining us to look at this budget 2012 controversy is Dr. Nweze of the Pan-African University. Good to have you join us this morning.
Good morning.
Well, I'm a little bit confused there. For a moment, you would think that, well, the two arms are not the government arms. You know, Nigerians would think that the government, that's just executive, and the legislature is not part of the government. Are you surprised that this is coming at all?
No, it's, well, the House is trying to do their job. Make sure that, put them on their toes, make sure that the thing is, they're supposed to do what they're supposed to do. But sometimes, again, I've had one government agency closing a company, another agency opening the company, you know, government to government fighting each other and all that. Sometimes just when there's an overlap or people don't understand what they're supposed to do. But back to the budget thing, it's quite interesting to hear, and that the House is, you know, doing what they're doing. threatening impeachment and all that, maybe to wake some people from their slumber, because if they just keep quiet and, it returned to the Yaradua days when budget was only 14 or 28% implemented, and the man said, why are you complaining? That's the late Yaradua. Why are you complaining? That he saved the country money. By implementing only 28% or 14% or 28%, I've forgotten the figure, that it was saving the country money. That the money was going to be plowed back to next year's budget, which is, how can you save money without investment? The issue that the House, the Senate, and National Assembly as a whole should be focusing on is not just the implementation, not the focusing on the finance minister and the release of money and all that, making sure that the committee, the oversight function over those parastatals, that they do what they said they will do.
Just yesterday, we had a guest, an economist on the news at 10, and he says, well, it's all about what the people can see, but what we're getting now, if you want to call it a controversy or fight, it's just like chasing shadows.
Oh, yeah, of course.
What should they be talking about at this point in time?
This thing is that, how do we reduce the recurrent expenditure? Because no development can come if you still have a paltry sum for a capital expenditure. That means that no project will be done. That means that the government is not injecting money into the economy to enable the economy to grow. Okay? So the government, I was in South Africa some time ago, and I saw the road that they were removing and recruiting and all that. I said, but the best road in Nigeria is almost as good as this. So why are they repairing it?
But how do you see the discretionary use of the discretionary release of fund now by the Honorable Minister?
No, you see, the selective, the way they're selecting this by the minister, she was being accused of selective release and all that. It's not, they have priority areas, okay? Every department, everything, maybe sometimes they feel that, look, every department should get the money that they're supposed to get. But sometimes you find that, don't forget that, is the availability of funds. Budget, not just the expenditure part of the budget, but the source of revenue. Because you need to generate this money to execute what you're supposed to execute. If the revenue is slow incoming, there are things that you have to prioritize.
So what do you make of the Section 6 of the 2012 Appropriation Act that stipulates the Minister of Finance to ensure the release of funds to the appropriate MDAs, the ministries, departments and agencies, as and when due? Would you say she has really broken the law?
You see, no, breaking the law is one thing. But if you say, okay, look, you're owing me, I promise to pay you at a particular time, but there's no money. And I can't borrow money anywhere. And that is the situation they find themselves. Budget is not, don't forget, it's just an estimate. Okay? It's different from actual. Sometimes the monies are not available to execute some project. You have to wait until money is coming. You find that oil revenue, which is constitutes about 95% of the national revenue, is the oil in the international market is the prices have dropped, which will also affect the budget. So you find again that there are other issues that will affect non-release of funds. But again, the major thing is that the amount for recurrent expenditure taken care of, and out of that amount, 80% are personnel costs. Okay? You can't say that workers cannot be paid as. So monies are being set aside to pay whatever comes in. You make sure that you pay your workers.
Can you justify the deliverables as against the percentage of the budget implemented?
No, because anyway, the thing is that we don't see anything. And don't forget that the world is influenced by what they see. The budget cannot be said to be implemented when it has not affected the lives of the people. I know that some some projects are long-term projects. Okay? So we have not seen any impacts of this expenditure. Maybe we are seeing the impact on the lives of the workers.